Bring this meeting to order. This is a hearing of the Committee of Adjustment for the Town of Pelham. Everyone present will be given an opportunity to comment on the applications being heard. Please address your comments and questions through the chair. This public meeting has been called to satisfy requirements of the Planning Act and Council bylaws. Notice of this meeting has been given by prepaid first-class mail to all persons listed as owners in the last revised assessment roll within 60 meters of the subject properties. Excuse me. In addition, a public notice sign has been posted on the lands. Agencies commenting on applications may request that certain conditions be imposed should the application be approved. Voicing objections to these conditions will not adversely affect the committee's decision. The purpose of the application and relative correspondence will be heard, following which the applicant will be given the opportunity to address the application. Any person concerned with the application will then be given an opportunity to speak. Please state your name and mailing address for the record. At the conclusion of the discussion, the committee will render a decision and advise of any applicable conditions. Specific wording for conditions will be determined by the committee following the public portion of this hearing. All interested parties are invited to be present. Copies of decisions will be mailed to the applicant or agent and to any other person who files a written request. There are colored forms for this purpose, which are available on the rear table. Any person, corporation, or public body has the right to appeal either the decision itself or the conditions of consent to the Ontario Municipal Board within 20 days of the decision for minor variances and within 20 days of the mailing of the decision for consent applications. I'd like to introduce the hearing panel. On my far left is Don Cook. On my immediate left is John Clausen. I'm the chair, Wayne Lockey. On my right is our secretary and our town clerk, Nancy Bizzato. And on her right is Judy Shepard, the assistant town clerk. And are there any requests for withdrawal or adjournment?
Not that I'm aware of, Mr. Chair.
Okay, if there's anybody here interested in this application, would you like to take a seat over here at the mic and state your name and your address? And
I'm Marco Magazzini. My address is 1306 Effingham Street, Ridgeville.
okay, thank you. Is there any correspondence? If you could read it.
Yes, through you, Mr. Chair. A7 2018 on behalf of Marco and Carol Magazzini. The subject land is located on the southeast corner of Chandler Road and Cream Street, being concession 13, part of lot 11, known municipally as 596 Chandler Road in the town of Pelham. The subject land is zoned agricultural A25 in accordance with the town of Pelham zoning bylaw 1136/1987 as amended. The minor variance application requests relief from section 6.35C, yard encroachments permitted, unenclosed porches, balconies, steps, and patios, seeking a 2.03 meter encroachment, whereas 1.5 meters is permitted. The variance will facilitate construction of a front yard porch. To date, comments have been received from the Public Works Department with no concerns. The Building Department is requesting that all necessary permits be obtained, if not applied for in the original application, prior to any further construction commencing. Fire and Bylaw Services has no comments or concerns, and no comments were received from the general public. A minor variance is merited on 4 tests under the Planning Act. The first test is the variance minor in nature. The Planning Department reports that the proposed porch encroachment into the required front yard maintains a safe distance from the intersection and will not pose any sightline concerns or other adverse impacts. The second test is the variance desirable for the development of the land. This variance is desirable because the wraparound porch will enhance the residents' livability on the property by way of an improved amenity space. The third test: does the variance maintain the general intent and purpose of the official plan? The porch encroachment does not compromise the general intent of the official plan because no safety concerns arise as a result, and the porch will enhance the character of the existing residential dwelling. The final test: does the variance maintain the general purpose and intent of the zoning bylaw? The general intent of the zoning bylaw is maintained because adequate front yard setback is upheld between the road and the structure. No adverse impacts are presented as a result of this variance. Planning staff is of the opinion that the application meets the 4 minor variance tests laid out in the Planning Act. The application is consistent with provincial policies, the regional official plan, and conforms to the general intent of the town's official plan and zoning bylaw. The authorization of the minor variances is not expected to generate negative impacts for adjacent uses or the community at large. Consequently, planning staff recommend that the application be approved, subject to the following condition: that all necessary building permits be obtained prior to any further construction commencing. And this is a copy of the drawing with the portion at question here being there. That's all I've got, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Do you have any comments?
No, not really. Nothing to add to it, I guess.
There's nobody in the audience to comment for or against you. Does the committee have any questions, comments?
Well, it's already built, the porch, correct?
It is, yeah.
So the building inspector caught the problem then?
The building inspector he felt at the time that, I think we figured that we were 8 inches over, and asked us to come in.
Okay.
And then when we hired to find out exactly what it was, then that's where it comes in the 2 point versus the 1.5.
Because really what I'm asking is, you've already got the building permits, so what we're just doing is correcting an oversight, correct?
It was a screw up. We went too far.
I call it an oversight, yeah.
Yeah.
So then, one of the conditions is he gets building permit, but he's already got the building permits. So I'm just saying, why put a condition in that's already been met? Or so how do you want to handle that? I have no other comment.
I think as long as there are the proper building permits in place, that's all, isn't it?
And we've stopped everything. We didn't cover with soffit or anything, because then I'll have the building inspector back before, obviously. Once he brought it to light, then we just put a stop on everything.
Mr. Chair, there may just be a required amendment to the building permit to show what the setback actually is, so that that can be part of the property file.
I'd just like to make that correction.
Well, the building department will determine, so it says to the satisfaction of the chief building official.
Okay.
So whether it's an amendment to the existing building permit, that's still part of a permit process.
Fine.
So they can make that determination.
I just want to make sure he's covered, the gentleman there.
Okay, I'd be ready for a motion.
Okay, I'll make the motion that for the application of the yard encroachment permit, the enclosed porches that's wrapping around, seeking a 2.03 meter encroachment, whereas 1.5 meters permission to facilitate construction of a front yard porch is hereby, that the variance is minor in nature, so there are no adverse effects anticipated. I looked at the corner, it looks good there. General purpose and intent of the zoning bylaw is maintained. There's adequate front yard setback is upheld, and there's no adverse impacts are anticipated. 3, the intended official plan is maintained. There are no safety concerns, and it will enhance the character of the residential building. 4, the proposal is desired for the appropriate development and use of the land. It works well with the house. It looks good. I must comment there. 5, the application is granted without prejudice to any other application in Town of Pelham. No objections were received from any agencies or any people abutting your property there or within the vicinity. 7, the Committee of Adjustments considered the written and oral comments and agrees with the minor variance report analysis and recommendation that this application meets the Planning Act tests for the minor variance. And I guess the above decision is subject to the following condition: that you have the necessary building permits. That they must be obtained prior to any further construction commencing to the satisfaction of the town chief building officials. So I guess you just have to get approval once we give approval to what's there. So be moved.
Do I have a seconder? Thank
Second that,
you.
Mr. Chairman.
And all in favor? So moved. Okay, you have to wait 20 days
Yep.
till you can actually finish it, but unless somebody objects. Okay?
Yep, thank you very much.
Thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
And there's no applications for consent. And we have a couple of minutes here for approval. We have a mover.
I'll move that the minutes of March the 6th and I believe April 10th be approved as
Circulated.
Very good. All in favor? Done. Okay, we'll sign these.
We're supposed to, oh, yeah.
Do you want to do your adjournment?
Oh, you want to adjourn now? I'm afraid
Move
if
that
I
we
adjourn,
adjourn.
they might both leave and then they wouldn't have all these signed.